Saying to Brad there, Derek, the manner of that draw turned ice at the weekend must give everyone a lift.
Yeah, I think it absolutely did. You know, we said after the game, or I did, that it was like some points are feel like defeats. Like the last time out here against Dundee United, when we've lost a 99th minute penalty. By the way, the softest penalty. I know Jim's talking about the penalty we get, but it was a soft penalty. Still don't see it as a penalty kick. So that point felt like 2 points dropped, but Saturday's point was so important for us. Some points are more valuable than others, and it felt like that, you know, the nature of the game. Through caution to win, through everything at it towards the end. I actually thought we were a bit unlucky to go behind in the context of the game. You know, and we've not been, other than 45 minutes at Rangers, we've been competing in games. I mean, there's no really, we've not been at our best, but we've certainly been competing. And it was just important we got something for the game Saturday. And I thought the players' application throughout, you know, nervy start, first 10-15 minutes. Dundee United put us under a bit of pressure, long throws, free kicks, corners. We had a lot to contend with, but I actually thought we stood up to it pretty well in the end. And once we came through that little spell, I thought we more than matched Dundee United, and I thought we were worthy of the point that we eventually got.
Matty Kennedy, are you back for this one?
So Matty's done some work this week. He's still not took in a full training session with us. The intention all being that if he doesn't have any reaction to today's work, do more work tomorrow, we have a view of hoping to train on Friday. As will Liam Donnelly, who had a little hamstring strain after being suspended, and he was unavailable for the game at the weekend, so hopefully get those two back. And then obviously a huge positive at the weekend was Killie Magennis coming off the bench after almost a year to the day being out. So all being well, if we get through the next few days training sessions and it goes to plan, we'll only have Stuart Finlay out the senior squad, which is brilliant news for us in terms of just getting some bodies back, because we've had our troubles to seek on that front either.
So Robbie's okay then after the weekend?
McCrory, should be fine. Be fine. It was more an impact. Robbie Deas, the disallowed goal. So it's not a muscular thing that he's pulled or anything. So we're just managing that at the minute. He's doing some work, but not doing the kicking part of it. And hopefully, as I say, he'll be good to go on Friday as well.
On Kyle, you just hope he catches a break now, given the injuries he's had.
He's been here before. You know, and I know managers say, oh, he's a brilliant boy, but other boys, but in particular, Kyle, he's so popular in the dressing room with the lads. It was a huge moment for him. You know, not only in terms of playing his part and getting an equalising goal, but just there's a real kind of overwhelming support from everybody here within the club. You know, we see him all those days where we're going out on the training pitch and he's going into the gym. All those trips to Europe, all the highlights that he's got to just suck up and see and just watch from a distance and deal with. It's such a mental challenge of being out for so long and constantly having to deal with setback after setback. So he should be. I hope he enjoyed his Saturday night the way we all did, in terms of just feeling as if he'd contributed. So great to have him back.
On this next run of fixtures, Derek, 5 out of 7 at home, how much of that is an opportunity for you boys?
That's exactly what it is. It's an opportunity. There's no guarantees with it, of course, but you know, our home form has been so pivotal for everything we've done, particularly since we've come in. You know, we said after the game, the team that I inherited, we wouldn't have won the title if we hadn't sorted our home form out. Any team who doesn't win their home games never gets the job done in what they're doing. You've got to be a team who really enjoy being at home, and that goes hand in hand. We've got to have something here that is special, and the fans need to help us at the weekend. We've got to help the fans get into it. But our home form won us a title. Our home form kept us in the league, and our home form got us fourth in the league last season in European sport. We have to try and make sure that we take full advantage of that home form from now on in. Last time out here, we got a point against Dundee in isolation. It's not the worst point in the world, but you know, we expect more of ourselves to win these types of games. And Sunday's a game against a team with obvious quality, who have obviously got European football and are trying to get that balancing act. We've got an opportunity to go and win a game of football on Sunday. And the next 7 games, 5 of them being at home and a couple of games away from home that we feel we can pick up points, we've got to try and make some hay while we've got the opportunity. And getting a full squad almost back will help with that.
I almost think it can define what you might be able to achieve this season.
Listen, it's no huge statements that we need. We just need to knuckle down and get a wee bit of winning formula. And you know, when we came out the fixtures on the 8th of January, we'll probably have played everybody twice by then, and more or less. I think we're the only team that's played Rangers and Celtic twice at the minute. But we've played everybody else by that time, by the 8th of January. And normally by the 8th of January, that fixture list after the festive period is normally where you're roughly where you're going to be in the league. So if we're in trouble at the bottom, then that's where we're going to have to have a wrestle with. Hopefully we're mid-table and pushing top 6. And that's where we need to push on from there. And it's normally with the teams at the top of the table fighting for Europe and fighting for titles. Normally you get an idea of what the league table looks like after then.
What have you made of Hearts under Neil Critchley?
Clear way of playing, I think. Under Stephen, they got a lot of benefits last year from mixing and matching their formations. You know, I think they were a 5 at times, they were a 4, and they played in a front 2 at times. They were very flexible, I think. And it paid dividends for them. You know, under Neil, he's come in, he's clearly sees what he's got to work with, and he's tried to be 4-2-4 in possession as much as he can. Asks a lot of his fullbacks to get up and down the pitch. He likes to get overloads in the middle of the pitch with his wide players coming in centrally. A lot of times it's central midfielders or number 10s playing as wide players, so they like to dominate the ball. But you know, obviously Lawrence scoring at the weekend is huge for them, you know, in terms of, because he was so important for them last season in terms of getting that final league position. So they've got good players, and under Neil Critchley I think they've got a set way of playing that they won't change.
Is that something you need to be wary of now that Shankland broke his hip after that 12-game spell?
Aye, but I think he's suspended Sunday.
Oh, so he is?
Aye, so I'm not that aware of it.
That's right.
I'm aware that he's suspended, which I'm absolutely buzzing with.
You're right, you're right.
Aye.
Obviously you're going to play Hearts after they've come back from a European game. You've been there yourself. What impact do you think that could have?
Well, we played in Copenhagen this year, and we come back and went to Pittodrie after it, and you know, it was a huge, you know, that type of fixture can take a lot out of you. Obviously at that stage of the season we're still finding our feet, no team's fully up to speed. I think Hearts or any team playing in Europe now are get the games through their legs and a bit more game ready. I've always found when you're managing a team in Europe, if you've got a home game after an away game, it kind of helps you. When it's the travelling and the travelling, it can be a bit of a disadvantage. But you know, Hearts have got a squad for a reason. They've got a good squad and they've got plenty of bodies to choose from. So I'm sure Neil will be using that as any reason not to be at their best on Sunday. But I do think that it's, I think we're all the same. I think managers look at, yes, we've got them after a European game. You know, that's just natural. You know, it's like you always want to play Rangers and Celtic after they've had a European game, and they're getting maybe more distractions or minimum rest. That's just the nature of it. So. But regardless if we're getting Hearts fresh, regardless of who it is on Sunday, and I know it's Hearts turning up here on Sunday, we've just got to try and be the team that catches fire a wee bit for ourselves and goes and gets a strong performance, because it'll need to be that. We beat them at Tynecastle a few weeks ago and it was a really strong second half performance, but I actually think to beat a team of Hearts quality you normally need to turn up for 90 minutes, and that's what I'm looking for my team.
Yeah, just come back to Kyle, you mentioned the popularity of him. Did having him involved in those last 5 or 6 minutes just make it even the point even, you know, better and more rewarding with the whole players as well on the course?
Aye, I mean, I think you know, obviously Bruce scores the penalty and it's a brilliant penalty under real pressure, but you know, you name check Kyle after the game because you know we've all seen him suffer. We've seen him pull up in training, we've seen him pull up in games and walk away with his head in his hands and you know, inconsolable really. So we've seen what he's went through. The fact that he played a part in the goal, he has a brilliant shot at the very death that could have won the game for us, which has been stuff of dreams, to be honest. But yeah, absolutely, I think there's no doubt that it would help. I mean, I put him on ahead of others because of sentiment. I mean, we needed a result, you know, and I think he's capable as any of my midfielders of getting you a goal and bringing a bit of quality. So that was the reason he went on. And he was on to do a job, and he did his job well.
No, obviously you will be careful, cautious with him, but he came with he's got a reputation,
Yeah, I've watched Kyle since he was a wee boy. He played in the same youth team at St Mirren as my son, and I always knew his qualities. When he broke into St Mirren's first team, it was no real surprise to me, and he was always a player that I watched closely. I had an interest in him when I was at Aberdeen, and if the circumstances had been right, he would have been one I would like to have took. You know, he took, he got his move to Hibs after a bad injury at St Mirren, and he, unfortunately for him, he's just not really been able to get that run, as Rahman said, really, of getting out the bit and staying fit. But the reason, with the greatest respect, the reason we managed to get him to Kilmarnock is because of his injuries. So we took a bit of a risk, and up until now you would have to say that it's not been justified, the signing of him, but what we have had, I mean, he started last season, the first 12 games or so, he was arguably as good a player as we had in the team, and he played week in, week out, so we've seen wee signs of it. So we just feel that we're trying to manage his training week now differently. So he trains a day and then he's a physio the next day. He never does 2 consecutive days with the team. So we're just trying to, because we've looked at all the signs, we've looked at his strength, we've looked at all the testing, everything adds up that he's fit to go and has been for a while. But we're just trying to kind of share the load a wee bit on his body and on his hamstrings till hopefully he gets to a stage where he can maybe get to a stage where he can train 2 and 3 days in a row like most normal footballers. But so he's out there working the day after training fully yesterday. He's doing stride runs on his own, doing work with the physios in the gym, doing strength. So he's not having a lazy day. I played with loads of players who trained one day and then they turn up the next day, but it's not through the want of trying. He is desperate to train and play as much as he can. But to give him the best chance of that, we're going to have to be smart and give him the best opportunity. All right. Thanks. Cheers.